Your reward for developing the patent is just $5. I work in the research of optical technology at a video equipment company. I was striving to develop patents with the development team, but I was harassed by my boss, Richard. Despite that, I managed to obtain a top-level industry patent. However, the reward for developing the patent given by Richard was just $5. I've had enough of being belittled by a guy who has been reaping the rewards of our hard work. Thank you very much. I took the $5 and immediately submitted my resignation letter. After using up my paid leave, I quit instantly and started my own company. Maybe because I cut off bad ties, I was quickly met with good fortune, and then I received a call. My name is John Anderson, 51 years old. I work as an engineer at a video equipment company based in the suburbs. At the company, I invent, manufacture, and sell printers and camera lenses, developing new products. Aiming to become the top video equipment manufacturer in the US, I diligently work on discovering new technologies every day. However, discoveries and inventions are not so easy, and I repeatedly conduct experiments through trial and error. As I was discussing with the development team, our boss, Richard, came in. John, how's the new lens development going? Richard, it's still in the testing phase. The lab owned by the development department is filled with precision equipment and important data used for tests. So, it's a problem if people come in with their shoes on. But Richard barged in without a care. What are you dawdling for? At this slow pace, we'll fall behind our competitors. Yes, I'm sorry. We apologized with dejected faces as he yelled at us. Listen up. It's your business if you slack off, but it's me who gets scolded from above for it. Keep that in mind and hurry up with developing a patent. Yes. After yelling at us to his satisfaction, Richard left the department with a pleased look. Once he was gone, we all sighed with relief. He tells us to work while he's the one sucking up to the higher-ups and slacking off. Taking advantage of his absence, I grumbled. Richard is 8 years younger than me, but got promoted to boss because of his high academic background. Although he's the head of the development department, he didn't graduate from a technical university, so his knowledge of optical technology is almost zero. If that were the only issue, no one would complain. But as soon as he was promoted to head, he began acting high and mighty, yelling at subordinates regardless of their age. Richard thinks he's giving us a pep talk, but from our perspective, we're getting yelled at despite working hard. Additionally, while he's oppressive to subordinates, he's overly subservient to his superiors, constantly kissing up to them to climb the corporate ladder. We are frustrated with this extreme two-faced behavior. Sucking up to the bosses is one thing, but he shouldn't use us as tools for his promotion. We grumbled together, feeling like we drew the short straw when he was transferred to our development department. Our stress levels have been increasing year by year. Recently, it's been particularly bad as he keeps barging into the lab, pushing us to develop patent technology. A few months ago, a new control method for the management system was developed by another employee, and it was patented. As a result, both the developer and Richard, who oversaw it, received praise from the president. After being praised by the president, he apparently thought, if we develop more patent technology, my evaluation will improve further. Since then, he has been pressuring us to speed up development. Richard is forcing us to work hard for his own recognition. We aim for technological progress, but thanks to Richard, our working conditions are terrible. Excessive work is assigned, and unpaid overtime is the norm. If I try to leave on time, he whispers, "You're leaving while I'm still working." If anyone resists, he uses his position as a department head, so most employees deeply dislike him. Richard's arrogant attitude is annoying, but as an engineer, I find the discovery of new technology exciting and socially beneficial. Moreover, if a patent is approved, our company name rises in the patent rankings, increasing our recognition. It's no exaggeration to say that our development department carries the company's reputation. That's why we repeat tests and durability assessments every day. But things didn't go so smoothly in reality. Today didn't work either. I muttered as the results didn't match the hypothesis. We haven't had successful experiments lately, and no good data has been collected. The employees were feeling stuck, and a heavy atmosphere hung over the place. Everyone had dark circles under their eyes. Their lab coats were wrinkled, and some had greasy hair from staying overnight. The result of continuous overtime is that I haven't been getting enough sleep, and am utterly exhausted. For the past week, I've been coming home on the last train and getting only 2 or 3 hours of sleep. With such a foggy mind, it's impossible to perform well in research. Moreover, I've been feeling cold since this morning, and my condition is extremely poor. Thinking I might have a fever, I checked my temperature, and it was a high 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The employees, worried about my condition, suggested I leave early. Yeah, I'll ask Richard for permission to leave early. With that, I headed towards Richard's desk. He was working on his computer. As a manager, he usually doesn't get involved in the lab. His main tasks are communicating with subordinates, overseeing the department, signing documents, and managing employees. I approached Richard, who was typing away with a serious look. "Hey, Richard." But he ignored me, not even bothering to respond. Thinking he was focused on his work, I tried calling out to him again. "Excuse me, Richard." Finally, he responded. "What do you want? I'm busy." Hearing "busy" made me hesitate, but I mustered up the courage to ask to leave early. "I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well and would like to leave early," I nervously explained, but Richard frowned and glared at me. "What about your work for today?" "It's not finished yet, but I'm really not well. I just took my temperature and it was 104 degrees Fahrenheit. I took out my thermometer and showed him the history. I wanted to prove that I was really sick, but Richard snatched my thermometer. "You're trying to trick me to skip work. You must have rigged this temperature somehow." Saying this, Richard put the thermometer under his own arm. "That's mine." "Shut up. Just watch. My thermometer is high-tech and can measure temperature in less than a minute." As soon as he put it under his arm, the thermometer beeped, signaling the end of the measurement. Richard took it out and smirked. "See, I'm at 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm working just fine with this high temperature. 104 degrees Fahrenheit is no big deal, so there's no need for you to leave early." He tossed the used thermometer back at me. Despite claiming a temperature of 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit, he looked healthy and energetic. Some people have a normal temperature of 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, and he's probably one of them. But my normal temperature is 96.8 degrees Fahrenheit, and if it rises further, it could be dangerous. So, I wanted to go home early and rest before it got worse. "I'm really not feeling well. Please let me leave early. I've already arranged for other employees to cover my tasks." As I spoke, my head began to feel foggy. Even in this state, I pleaded with Richard to let me leave early. But his response was cold. "Someone who's barely moving can't be that sick. Just because you're an engineer doesn't mean you get special treatment." When Richard yelled, nearby employees looked at me with concern. "Anyway, I don't approve of you leaving early. Get back to your department and work." This can't be. Realizing that further pleading wouldn't get a better response, I stumbled back to my department. When I told the employees that Richard had refused to let me leave early, they got angry on my behalf and laid me down on a row of chairs as I was about to lose consciousness. Despite being exhausted themselves, they were worried about me. Their kindness touched me deeply, and as my eyelids grew heavy, I lost consciousness. A few hours later, I woke up, having slept like a log and feeling somewhat better. When I got up, I saw that everyone had divided my work among themselves. I thanked the employees who had taken care of me. "Thank you. I feel much better after a bit of rest. Let me repay you somehow." They shyly smiled and said, "No problem." Having been in the development department for many years, I had developed a sense of camaraderie and rivalry with the employees. However, despite feeling better, I was still not fully well. As I was about to leave on time today, "Is the research going well?" Richard came into the lab. The previously calm atmosphere instantly turned tense when he arrived. "John was working just fine. See, I knew you weren't that sick," he sneered. Seeing him laugh, not believing his subordinate's illness, made me angry. Annoyed, I asked sharply, "It's already quitting time. What do you need?" "I've got work for you. Compile the data in these documents by tomorrow." With that, Richard handed over a stack of over 100 documents. The employees stared, mouths agape. "By tomorrow, we've already finished today's work. You can finish it with a bit of overtime. Well, I'm counting on you," he said, leaving us to do the work without helping. We had no choice but to pick up the documents he left behind. The employees told me I should go home, but I couldn't rely on them that much. Even though I wasn't feeling my best, I didn't want to worry them any further. "I'm fine. I'm feeling better now, so I'll go grab an energy drink." After that, we worked together to finish the tasks Richard had dumped on us. We finally finished around the usual last train time. I staggered home on shaky legs. Just as I had recovered, my symptoms came back. Though we completed the work, Richard's constant issues were wearing me down. Unless we improve this terrible work environment, we'll never have a good night's sleep. A week after my illness, I used my precious day off to fully recover. Feeling great, I threw myself into work to make up for lost time. Thanks to the proper rest, our experiments went smoothly, and we successfully developed new optical equipment. Optical devices like lenses and mirrors use the reflection and refraction of light. These allow us to observe tiny particles or objects that the human eye cannot see. Optical technology can be applied to microscopes, telescopes, and video equipment, making it useful in many fields. This technology is crucial for future discoveries for humanity. The optical device I developed quickly got patented and produced top-level video equipment in the industry. With this optical technology, we can capture finer particles than conventional products, and it will greatly contribute to medical and photographic technologies. When the experiment succeeded, we cried with joy together. Our efforts had finally paid off. My name will remain in the patent rankings as a developer. The company's performance soared after obtaining the patent. We received numerous licensing contract offers from various companies, and sales skyrocketed. Moreover, under the employee invention system, I also received a reward as the inventor. Although the patent rights belong to the company, I still get a significant share of the profits. Depending on future performance, I can expect not only monetary rewards, but also promotions and company-sponsored overseas studies. This will allow me to gain more experience as an engineer, killing two birds with one stone. I'm excited. With the reward, I can work even harder on the next experiment. But first, I want to celebrate the patent approval with the employees. They helped me without hesitation when I was exhausted. As a thank you, I want to treat them to a drink. "Hey everyone, are you free tonight? How about we go to a bar together?" Just as I was about to ask everyone if they were free tonight, Richard came into the development department. He always shows up at the worst times, making me furrow my brow. But this time, he was grinning at me. "John, you did a great job. The president has a reward for you." "Really?" Hearing reward, I couldn't help but jump up. The employees around me watched warmly. I'm glad to have contributed to the company. I'll keep striving forward. "Yes, that's the spirit. Now, let me give you your reward." Even though he said it was now, he didn't have any certificate or anything like that. As I wondered where it was, Richard took an envelope out of his pocket. He turned the envelope upside down, and its contents fell out on the floor. When I followed the object with my eyes, it was a $5. The $5 blew away in the wind. "What?" Seeing the $5, I couldn't help but mutter. When I turned to Richard, he was laughing hysterically. Your reward for developing the patent is $5. At first, I didn't understand what I was seeing, but when I did, a surge of anger welled up inside me. What do you mean $5? The reward should be at least $1,000. You're the developer, but I'm the manager here, so I'll keep the rest of the reward from the president. What? He constantly forced us into excessive work while he relaxed and took the best positions. Even though we endured poor working conditions for the sake of technological progress, this is what we got. Keep up the good work, or if anyone has a problem with me, you're free to quit. I don't need rebellious people. He's using his position as a manager to continue reaping the rewards. I can't tolerate this any longer. I made up my mind. I walked over to the $5 on the floor, slowly crouched down, picked it up, and put it in my pocket. Thank you very much. I'll make sure to use the rest of the reward wisely. With that, he left the department. Immediately, the employees rushed over to me, worried. Are you okay? And this is unacceptable, they said, sharing their anger at Richard's actions. I gently spoke to them. I'm sorry, everyone. I've reached my limit. I took out a blank sheet of paper and a leave application form from my desk. On the blank paper, I boldly wrote, "Resignation letter." The employees were shocked, trying to persuade me to reconsider. If I stay under Richard, I won't be able to do the research I want. I didn't become an engineer to be exploited. Everyone was stunned by my words and looked at each other. After finishing the resignation letter, I went straight to Richard. He was chatting happily with a female employee. What is it, John? I'm busy right now. Richard, thank you for everything. Here's my resignation letter and leave application form. Without waiting for a response, I handed him the two documents. Richard blinked in surprise at the suddenness of it. But gradually, his expression turned sour. Wait, I didn't hear anything about you quitting suddenly. I don't accept this. The company has no right to deny an employee's decision. Goodbye. Ignoring his attempts to stop me, I used up my remaining paid leave and resigned. Immediately after leaving, I started my own company. Although it's not an impressive office building, I rented a room in an old building. There, I began developing optical lenses. Along with the optical technology research I wanted to do, I created many prototype camera lenses. I showcased the finished products at a domestic optical summit. The summit attracted various companies from both inside and outside the country. There were some very minor companies, as well as major camera and medical equipment manufacturers known to everyone. As the sole employee, I actively handed out business cards and promoted my products and achievements. While many listened to what I had to say, one company in particular showed a strong interest. He turned out to be the president of a foreign camera manufacturer, known for being at the forefront of optical technology. He seemed to like my achievements, and after several discussions following the summit, we advanced to talks of a sponsorship deal. If our research yields good results, they will provide financial support to my company. I never imagined that I would get in touch with such a major company, let alone progress to sponsorship talks. Having had an incredibly good start shortly after founding my company, I focused even more on product development. With the financial support, the company's facilities improved significantly. I even had enough leeway to hire employees, and everything was falling into place. A few months later, I received a call on my cell phone. Hello, this is John Labs. John, it's me, Richard. The caller was none other than Richard. Richard, long time no see. Recently, I had a good deal with a client, so I was in a good mood. Hearing my cheerful tone, Richard also responded energetically at first, but then he suddenly got angry. Are you doing well? Oh, I didn't call to chat. What do you need? Richard cleared his throat. I think I was a bit immature back then. A lot of time has passed, and we can both be calm now, right? I had no idea what he was getting at, so I responded bluntly. Richard, please get to the point. I'm busy with work. Let me be direct. Come back to the company immediately. He wanted me to return to the company. Well, no, I don't want to. When I answered immediately, he demanded in a harsh tone. Why not? Actually, I started my own company after resigning, so I can't come back. What? Are you trying to spite our company? I didn't start my company to compete with his. I did it to pursue my research and secure funding. Besides, it's been quite some time since I resigned. Why are you calling now? Then he hesitated a bit before starting to mumble. It seemed like a difficult topic for him to discuss. Actually, ever since you left, development has stalled. He admitted that after I left, the company struggled with new product development. But then, a major publisher contacted them. They wanted to do an interview because of the groundbreaking patent technology we developed. Richard feared that if they found out I wasn't there, they'd start asking questions. If that happened, the publisher might turn to me for the interview, and I might reveal some inconvenient truths, likely about Richard's harassment and other dark company matters. If the harassment was exposed, the publisher would dig deeper into the company's affairs. Richard wanted to bring me back before that happened and act like everything was fine. That's why he called me in a panic. It's a well-known publisher with significant influence, but they also handle celebrity scandals. Just come back to the company. I didn't know if he called on his own or was told to, but my response was clear. Why would I listen to your orders? Absolutely not. What did you say? I heard the sound of a desk being slammed from the other end of the phone. An interview would raise the company's profile. It's a great honor. Then you should take the interview, Richard, as long as you can handle any questions that come your way. Richard had never been involved in development, so he wouldn't be able to explain the patent. He probably didn't want to embarrass himself. Just come back. I'm sorry you went to the trouble of calling, but I must decline. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up now. Hey, wait. Without waiting for a response, I hung up immediately. There's no way I'm going back to such a terrible workplace, I muttered after ending the call. I blocked all further contact from Richard, but he showed up at my company. Since he couldn't reach me, he resorted to negotiating in person. Just as he barged into the lab with his shoes on, he tried to storm into my office. I firmly told him off. Don't enter someone's house with your shoes on. If you don't listen, I'll inform the company. Richard looked bewildered, likely because he came without informing his company. I would never do something as barbaric as entering with shoes on. He quickly started to take off his shoes. When did I say, please come in? What? With one shoe off, Richard looked puzzled. I told him not to enter with his shoes on, but I hadn't said he could come in. Unsure of what to do, he looked at me for guidance. I decided to make it clear today, so he wouldn't come barging in another time. I'm just finishing up some work, so please come to the room we use as a reception area. I offered him a pair of guest slippers. Okay, even a small company like this has a reception room. And by the way, your entrance is quite cluttered with shoes and bags. Just ignore it. Looking relieved, Richard quickly changed into the slippers. I led him to the reception room and had him sit in a chair. The reception room was just a small one-room space with a table and a few chairs for guests. This way, he wouldn't see my workspace. Richard, feeling uneasy, kept looking at me. I think you know why I'm here, so I'll get straight to the point. Come back to the company. Not wanting him to stay long, I didn't offer any tea. I sat down in the chair across the table from him. How many times do I have to say it? I'm not coming back. Richard gritted his teeth in frustration, but then smirked. Then how about if I offer you a reward? What? I couldn't help but ask again, surprised by the unexpected word. Richard noticed my reaction. You got mad when I gave you that $5 coin, right? It was just a little prank. I intended to give you the actual reward afterward. That time he was referring to was when I decided to quit the company. However, Richard never showed any intention of giving me the proper reward. Even if he was telling the truth, it's too late since I already resigned. Why didn't you give it to me right away? Well, you got mad, and I lost the chance to give it to you. Richard subtly shifted the blame onto me. So, if you come back, I'll give you the reward. How about it? Will you reconsider? I closed my eyes and pondered. If I said yes, returning to the company would be possible. With a company that holds top-level patents, I might be able to develop more new patents with hard work. But going back would be playing into his hands. The company's rules state that paying the reward is an obligation, but whether I return or not is my decision. What? I'll take the reward, but I won't return to the company. I looked him straight in the eye and firmly declared, So, just pay me my reward and let's sever ties for good. Richard started trembling and breaking into a cold sweat. Don't be so harsh. If you come back, there's even a chance of promotion. He tried to lure me back with sweet words. But my answer remained the same. No matter how many times he asked, I would never return. Why don't you recruit other talented engineers? There are plenty of them in the US. I suggested that he support the company by collaborating with someone else, but Richard's face darkened. Then, he suddenly buried his head in his hands. I've been trying to do that. He ruffled his hair, looking deeply troubled. Actually, a while after you left, the entire development team resigned. Well, that's something. The employees who worked on the patents with me had also left. The main reason for their resignation was Richard's harassment. After I left, Richard continued to force excessive work on the remaining employees, trying to achieve results. This angered them, and they all boycotted their work. Then they all resigned at once. Currently, no one is in the company's development department, so development has come to a halt. Without development, not only patents, but also in-house product development would be impossible, severely impacting sales. If you don't come back, the company is finished. My promotion won't happen. So, in the end, you want to bring me back just for your promotion? Richard looked at me with the eyes of a lost puppy. Please, John, help me. Help the company. Our eyes met. He was hoping for a positive response, but I had no intention of returning. This situation is entirely your fault. Don't you understand that? I'll pay you properly, so please come back. How am I supposed to explain this to the president? Richard pleaded with me, almost in tears. This is the result of you belittling engineers. Reflect on your actions. I stood up from my chair and opened the door to the reception room. That's all I have to say. Please leave. I won't move a step until you agree to come back. Richard shook his head from side to side and refused to budge. Even when I tried to forcibly lift him from the chair, he stubbornly resisted. Seeing how obstinate he was, I sighed. Okay, fine. Are you going to consider my request? Richard looked up at me with hopeful eyes. I don't have enough strength alone, so I'll get some help. What? I opened the door to the reception room and called out towards the workspace. Come help me get the boss out of here. Immediately, several men entered the reception room. Seeing them, Richard's eyes widened in shock, and he began to tremble. You guys, what are you doing here? Why, because we're employees here. They were my former colleagues from the development department. Fed up with Richard's harassment, they had resigned and joined my company. Thanks to everyone, we're more productive than when we were at the old company. It turns out we didn't need a boss who just nagged us. We all laughed together. However, Richard couldn't accept the situation. This is perfect. You all need to come back to the company. That's an order from your manager. As soon as he gave the order, the employees turned serious. Feeling the pressure, Richard swallowed hard. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm the manager. Even if you're a manager, anyone who harms the company is unnecessary. Please leave immediately. But Richard had no intention of leaving quietly. I exchanged a glance with my employees, and we lifted Richard off the ground. What are you doing? Put me down. Ignoring his commands, we carried him to the entrance. We opened the front door and forcibly pushed him outside. "We will report your unannounced visit and all the harassment you've subjected us to. Goodbye." "Wait, listen to me." Richard hurriedly stood up and tried to get back inside, but I quickly shut the door. From the other side, we could hear him yelling and pounding on the door, but no one opened it. "All right, before we get back to work, I need to report this to the company." With that, I called my former company. They were shocked when I reported Richard's actions and learned that he was the cause of the mass resignation in the development department. They apologized to us profusely. Apparently, the president was unaware of Richard's harassment and promptly sent me the full amount of my overdue reward. Soon after, Richard was summoned by the president and severely reprimanded. Refusing to admit his wrongdoing, he was given a disciplinary action. But that was only the beginning of his troubles. Employees' complaints led to the exposure of his harassment in a major publication, revealing the toxic work environment. As a result, the company's reputation suffered among clients. Richard was also sued by employees and ended up paying over $100,000 in damages. Finally, the president, citing his incompetence, fired Richard, who had contributed to the company's financial struggles. After getting fired, Richard found a new job, but it turned out to be a terrible workplace. The company had an excessive quota of 500 tasks per day, forced employees to stay until the last train, and didn't pay overtime. On top of that, attendance at company drinking parties was mandatory. Naturally, Richard quickly wanted to quit and submitted his resignation. But his boss tore it up right in front of him, preventing him from leaving. He sought help from acquaintances, but because of his past misconduct, he had lost their trust and received no assistance. Unable to cry or get help, Richard was now suffering in a toxic work environment himself. His only way out was to run away in the dead of night, but escaping didn't guarantee happiness. A rotten person will face the same fate no matter where they go. Meanwhile, I have been thriving since starting my own business. I've been steadily gaining sponsors and the company is on track. I've received numerous requests to give lectures on optical technology at universities, making me highly sought after. Recently, I also published papers on optical lenses and self-published a book. Thanks to the royalties, my income is stable. While my company is still growing, I aim to obtain more patents and achieve further progress.